The town of Windmere did not belong on the ground. Perched high upon a mesa, with roots of rock plunging down to misty valleys below, it looked as if a single gust might send the whole settlement drifting away like a dandelion puff. And perhaps, long ago, it had. At least, that's what the elders said when children asked why all the houses had brass sails instead of roofs and why every chimney ended in a turbine that sang with the wind. At the very heart of Windmere lay the Clockwork Harbor, a vast platform of interlocking gears and iron beams, where airships moored like waterborne vessels in other lands. Enormous propellers spun lazily in the breeze, keeping the docks afloat. The air always smelled faintly of oil, salt, and ozone, as if thunderclouds had been bottled and sold in every shop. Liora Whitfern had grown up here, listening to that song of creaking metal and soft hisses of steam escaping from copper valves. She loved nothing more than to sit by the harbor's railing and watch the airships depart, sleek dirigibles with canvas stretched taut over whalebone frames, their sides painted with names like the Star Whisper and Queen of Gusts. Travelers in leather coats and brass goggles bustled about, carrying charts, compasses, and tea sets wrapped in embroidered cloths. Every departure was a promise of adventure, and every return a story begging to be told. But Liora had never left Windmere herself. At 16, she was still apprenticed to her grandmother, Master Tinker Etta, who knew every gear and spring that kept the harbor alive. Liora spent her days with smudges of soot on her cheeks, mending pressure gauges and polishing clock hands taller than she was. At night, she'd sneak up to the observatory's dome and trace her finger along the stars, imagining what it would feel like to glide beyond the mesa, where clouds gave way to an endless blue unknown. One evening, as amber lanterns flickered on and the wind sang through the turbines like 100 flutes, a rumor swept through Windmere like wildfire. A new expedition was forming, an audacious journey not to another floating city or distant port, but to a place whispered only in fireside tales, the edge of the sky. They said it lay far beyond the northern winds, past where the airships dared to sail, where the sky itself bent into a shimmering wall of light. According to legend, if one reached it, they could see the hidden clockwork of the world, the massive golden gears turning behind the veil of clouds, driving time and weather itself. Some believed whoever stood upon the edge could glimpse eternity, others feared they would simply vanish into the blue. Liora had grown up hearing these stories, usually told with a wink and followed by laughter. Yet now, captains from faraway ports were arriving at the Clockwork Harbor with serious expressions and mysterious maps. Among them was Captain Bramwell Run, a broad-shouldered man whose coat was threaded with silver wires that glowed faintly in the dark. His ship, the Gossamer Gale, was unlike anything the harbor had seen, its hull a lattice of bronze feathers, its propellers shaped like the wings of a dragonfly. The whole town buzzed. Merchants displayed expedition supplies in their windows, telescopic lenses, self-heating kettles, and navigation spheres that spun without a hand to touch them. Etta scoffed at it all, calling it a fool's venture meant to lighten purses. But when Liora saw the Gossamer Gale lift into the sunset for a test flight, its sails catching glimmers of gold, something in her chest shifted. She could almost hear the sky calling her name. Late that night, as she sat beneath the observatory dome tracing stars, she made a quiet vow. Whatever it took, she would join that expedition. The world had been turning its gears without her long enough, it was time to see where they led. Morning in Windmere always began with the chime of the great clock, a tower so tall its brass pendulum swung through passing clouds. The sound echoed like a heartbeat across the mesa, waking tinkers, traders, and sky sailors alike. Liora woke before the chime that day, her mind still humming with her decision. She dressed in her patched boots and ash-gray coat, fastening a belt heavy with tools she might need. Grandmother Etta was already awake, hunched over a drafting table, sketching something with delicate, sure strokes. Her spectacles perched low on her nose, and the steam kettle hissed beside her. "You're up early," Etta muttered without looking up. "I'm going to the harbor," Liora replied, trying to sound casual. "For the expedition nonsense, I suppose." Liora hesitated. "Maybe. I just want to see it up close. Etta set down her pen, her eyes, bright as brass rivets, meeting Leora's. Sky's edge is a myth, child. The world's got teeth. It chews dreamers alive. Liora swallowed her retort. She'd heard this all her life, but today the words rolled off like mist. She simply nodded, grabbed her satchel, and slipped out into the waking streets. The Clockwork Harbor bustled more than usual. Vendors hawked sky fruit and wind-baked pies, while mechanical songbirds whirred overhead, mimicking whistles of departing ships. Near Dock 3, a crowd had gathered around the Gossamer Gale. Up close, it was even stranger than rumor claimed. The hull shimmered as if alive, and every feather-shaped plate quivered with unseen energy. Steam puffed gently from vents like the ship was breathing. Captain Bramwell Run stood at the gangplank, speaking to a group of hopefuls. Some were seasoned sailors with compass tattoos spiraling up their arms. Others were scholars clutching tomes and ink-stained quills. 6 crew spots remain, Run announced in a voice like a bellows. We seek mechanics, navigators, wind callers, and 1 sky cartographer. No dreamers. We've sky enough for those already. Leora's pulse quickened. She knew the ship needed her, well, maybe not her, but certainly a mechanic who understood how to calm the erratic heart of a steam engine. Yet, as she stepped forward, a sharp voice sliced through the crowd. You? It belonged to Karen Holt, apprentice to Windmere's chief gearwright and, more importantly, Leora's longtime rival. Karen leaned on a polished cane topped with a copper falcon, his goggles glinting. She's just a tinker's helper, Karen sneered. Couldn't keep an ornithopter aloft for 10 seconds. A ripple of laughter followed. Heat crawled up Leora's neck, but she clenched her fists. I fixed the ornithopter you crashed, she shot back. Without my repairs, you'd still be dangling from the weather vane. Captain Run raised an eyebrow, amused. You've got fire, lass, but fire doesn't keep gears turning. What makes you fit for my ship? Before she could answer, a hiss and screech echoed across the dock. A delivery drone, overloaded with cargo, spiraled out of control. Its wings snapped open like jagged scissors, slicing ropes and sending crates tumbling toward the crowd. People screamed, ducking for cover. Liora didn't think, she moved. Sprinting past startled sailors, she snatched a length of copper wire from her satchel and vaulted onto a crate. The drone buzzed wildly overhead. With a precise throw, she looped the wire around its exposed gear wheel, yanking hard. The machine sputtered, coughed steam, and dropped harmlessly onto a pile of cushions. The dock went silent for a heartbeat. Then applause erupted. Captain Run's grin widened. Seems you've got hands quicker than your tongue. Welcome aboard, Mechanic Whitfern. Karen's jaw tightened, his cane clinking against the planks. Liora felt a dizzying rush as Run handed her a small brass token etched with the Gossamer Gale's insignia, a feather caught in a gear. This was her passage to the edge of the sky. That night, she returned to the observatory dome, clutching the token. For the first time, the stars seemed closer, as if leaning down to listen. The expedition would depart at dawn, and her life in Windmere would be left behind like a shed husk. Grandmother Etta found her there, silent but not scolding. She pressed a small, worn compass into Leora's palm. The needle spun wildly before settling, pointing not north, but toward the horizon where sky met infinity. Every tinker builds a clock, Etta said softly. But only the brave wind it. And with that blessing, Leora's fate was set. At dawn, the Clockwork Harbor pulsed with energy. The Gossamer Gale hovered at the edge of the mesa, its dragonfly wings shimmering with hues of sunrise. Crew members rushed about, tightening ropes, adjusting sail feathers, and stowing crates of supplies. A steam organ aboard the ship played a jaunty tune that mixed with the cries of gull kites swooping overhead. Liora stood at the gangway, heart hammering like a misfired piston. She carried only her tool satchel and her grandmother's spinning compass. As she stepped aboard, the deck hummed beneath her boots, alive with gentle vibrations. She had imagined this moment countless times, yet it felt even grander, the scent of oiled brass, the sigh of propellers catching the morning breeze, and the soft creak of cables stretching skyward. Captain Run appeared beside her, coat flaring as he adjusted his brass-trimmed gloves. "Welcome to the Gale, Mechanic Whitfern. Sky's yours now. Let's hope she treats you kindly." Liora nodded, gripping the rail as the ship lifted higher, sails unfurling like wings of molten gold. The mesa and the clockwork harbor fell away, swallowed by mist and clouds. Windmere became a glimmering memory below. Ahead stretched an endless ocean of sky. The first hours were calm. Crew members introduced themselves as they worked. First Mate Vessa, a tall woman with sapphire goggles, could read the winds as easily as others read books. Finn Emberline, a young cartographer, clutched an inkwell that floated in midair, charting invisible lines across his parchment. Merritt Thal, the ship's cook and herbalist, brewed teas that made one feel lighter than air. Despite her nerves, Liora found herself absorbed in the ship's machinery. The Gossamer Gale's engine was a marvel, no clattering pistons or wheezing steam pipes. Instead, crystalline gyros spun silently, drawing energy from ambient currents in the upper atmosphere. She polished brass couplings and adjusted gear tension, marveling at the engineering genius behind it all. By late afternoon, clouds thickened into swirling towers. A storm was brewing, no ordinary tempest, but a sky storm. Bands of luminous mist spiraled upward like glowing ribbons. Strange lights flickered within, neither lightning nor flame. The ship's sails trembled as if sensing a challenge. "Storms ahead," Vessa called, her voice sharp over the wind. "Best hold to something sturdy." Liora tightened her grip on a safety rail as Run barked commands. The gale dove and twisted, riding unpredictable air streams. Crystalline gyros whined like singing glass. The glowing mist engulfed them, turning day into a dreamlike twilight. Within the storm, shapes emerged, delicate, floating orbs of light, no larger than lanterns. They bobbed and swayed, casting a soft glow on the ship's hull. The crew fell silent, watching in awe. "What are they?" Liora whispered. Finn, eyes wide, replied, "Sky sprites. Said to guide voyagers, or mislead them." One sprite floated close to Liora, hovering inches from her face. She felt a curious warmth, like a candle's breath on her cheek. The tiny sphere pulsed rhythmically, then zipped away, joining others as they spiraled upward into the storm's heart. Run made a decision. "Follow them. I've seen charts claiming sprites know safe passageways." The gale tilted, following the glowing trail. Wind howled, but the ship cut smoothly through swirling mist as if enchanted. Gradually, the storm thinned, clouds peeling away to reveal calm skies beyond. The crew erupted in relieved laughter. Merritt handed out mugs of steamberry tea, and even Captain Run cracked a rare smile. As Liora sipped her drink, watching the sprites fade into distant clouds, she felt it. The journey was no longer just about reaching the edge of the sky. The world above the world held wonders and secrets waiting to be uncovered. And something in those lights had whispered, not in words, but in feeling, that the edge was watching them already. 3 days passed without sight of land or cloud anchors. The Gossamer Gale glided through serene skies where only wandering breezes stirred the sails. The journey felt dreamlike, suspended between worlds, until dawn on the 4th day brought something extraordinary. Finn spotted it first, a glint of brass beneath soft cumulus clouds. As they drew closer, the glint unfurled into a floating island, its cliffs crowned with colossal fans spinning lazily in the sunlight. Bridges of bronze and glass linked smaller fragments of rock that drifted in loose formation, each held aloft by shimmering fields of unseen force. A thin waterfall spilled upward from the island's heart, vanishing into sky mist above, defying gravity itself. "By the Maker's wrench," Merritt whispered from the galley window. "I thought these were only myths." Captain Run steered the Gale toward the island's largest dock, a sprawling platform of emerald-tinted brass, marked with faded runes. As the ship anchored, a strange stillness fell. No birds. No sound but the sigh of fans and soft chimes of unseen mechanisms. The crew disembarked cautiously, boots ringing on metallic tiles. Liora bent to examine a pressure plate etched with whorled patterns resembling constellations. She felt warmth through her gloves. "It's alive," she murmured. "The whole island, it's one great machine." From beneath an archway, a figure emerged. At first glance, it looked human, clad in flowing robes of sky-blue silk. But as it drew nearer, light glimmered through its seams. An automaton, delicate yet elegant, face a smooth porcelain mask with two sapphire eyes glowing gently. "Travelers," it said in a voice like a music box, each word softly chimed. "You approach the turning winds, sanctuary of the skyrights." Captain Run stepped forward, bowing slightly. "We mean no harm. We're bound for the edge of the sky." The automaton tilted its head. "Few seek the edge. Fewer still return. Yet, the winds speak of your passage." It extended a slender hand, gears whirring softly. "Come. The engines wish to know you." Inside the island's inner sanctum, they found wonders no map had promised. Towering spires of copper whirled with endless gears, and great crystal orbs floated, shedding pale blue light that illuminated walls of ancient skycharts. Suspended walkways linked observation towers, where feathered turbines hummed in harmony with unseen forces. The automaton introduced itself as Aaron, caretaker of the turning winds for over a millennium. "The Skyrights built this isle," Aaron explained while leading them across a bridge that glowed underfoot. "They shaped the currents and designed the engines that once guided all floating cities. But centuries ago, they departed for the edge, never to return. I remain, tending the island, listening to whispers of travelers." In a great circular hall, Aaron touched a panel and the floor lit up with a moving map of the sky, stars flowing like rivers. Liora knelt, tracing glowing lines. "These are windstreams," she said in awe. "Hidden pathways no ordinary charts show." "Indeed," Aaron replied. "Follow them, and you may glimpse the outer currents. Only there will you find the final road to the edge." That night, the crew feasted on sky nectar fruits that floated on their own stems. Music from unseen chimes drifted through air fragrant with brass-petaled blooms. Liora wandered alone to the isle's highest platform. From there, the sky stretched infinite, stars glittering like scattered gears of a cosmic clock. Aaron joined her, silent for a while before speaking softly. "The edge of the sky is not merely a place. It is a threshold. Those who seek it must first know why the horizon calls them." Liora clutched her compass, the needle quivering as if eager to escape her hand. "I just need to see it. To know what's beyond." Aaron's sapphire eyes shimmered. "Then the winds shall test you. Tomorrow, you depart into the outer currents. But remember this, not all who reach the edge are ready to look upon what waits there." At dawn, the turning winds awoke in symphony. Massive fans shifted direction, bronze bridges rotated with a gentle hum, and streams of mist curled upward like banners. Aaron led the crew back to the Gossamer Gale, carrying a crystalline sphere faintly glowing from within. "This," Aaron said, placing the orb into Captain Run's hands, "is a Skywright beacon. It will resonate with the outer currents and reveal safe passages. Guard it well." The automaton bowed, porcelain mask gleaming in the morning light. "The winds remember courage. Let them bear you true." With a final chime of farewell, the Gossamer Gale rose, sails unfurling like golden feathers. The island slowly receded into swirling cloud banks until it became nothing more than a glimmer on the horizon. The outer currents were unlike any skies they had sailed before. Air shimmered like liquid glass, and vast invisible rivers tugged the ship in unseen directions. Crystalline streams of light wound through the clouds, spiraling upward and downward in impossible arcs. Navigation instruments spun wildly. Liora worked tirelessly in the engine room, adjusting gyro calibrations to compensate for strange gravitational pulses. Above deck, Finn sketched glowing lines that faded as quickly as they appeared. The Skyrite beacon floated near the helm, spinning gently, casting faint harmonies into the air. Suddenly, the beacon pulsed brighter, and a deep, resonant sound rolled across the sky. Vesa clutched the railing. Something's coming. From the clouds below, a shape emerged, immense and luminous. A creature as long as a floating city glided upward with slow, graceful beats of its translucent fins. Its body shimmered with constellations, and glowing filaments trailed behind like the tails of comets. A sky whale, Finn whispered, awestruck. I thought they were only in nursery rhymes. The whale circled the gale, its vast eye glimmering like a sapphire moon. It opened its maw slightly, not to devour, but to sing. The sound resonated deep within their bones, a melody both alien and comforting, like the tolling of a bell from before time itself. Captain Run steadied his voice. We're not here to harm you, Great One. We seek only passage to the edge. The whale's song shifted, low and questioning. The beacon pulsed in answer, sending out ripples of light that danced across the creature's hide. It hummed, and the currents around them shifted, forming a swirling tunnel of glowing mist leading farther into the unknown. But as they prepared to follow, the whale arched its massive back, blocking their path. Liora felt a tug in her chest, an instinct. She stepped forward, holding her grandmother's compass high. The needle spun madly before stopping, pointing straight toward the whale's heart. She approached the edge of the deck, the wind tugging her hair like invisible fingers. You're protecting something, aren't you? She called softly. Something hidden in these skies. The whale's eye blinked slowly, and it released a haunting, mournful note. In its shimmering reflection, Liora saw flashes of ancient floating citadels and skyrites sailing toward the edge, only for most to vanish, swallowed by turbulent currents. The creature had become their silent warden, guiding only the worthy. Liora turned to Captain Run. We have to prove we can navigate the outer currents without tearing them apart. That's what it's testing. Run nodded grimly. Vesa, take the helm. Liora, with me. Together, they adjusted the sails, shifting the ship to ride the currents with precision instead of brute force. The Gossamer Gale danced between streams of air like a leaf on water, leaving barely a ripple. Every movement was deliberate, respectful of the sky's invisible pathways. The whale watched silently, then released a resonant note that echoed through the heavens. It dipped its massive head, creating a gentle updraft that lifted the gale effortlessly into the swirling tunnel of mist. As they sailed past, the whale sang one last melody, a sound that felt like both farewell and blessing. Night fell as the gale drifted through glowing clouds shaped like spiraling galaxies. Above them, stars burned brighter than ever, close enough to touch. The crew gathered on deck, sharing quiet awe. Liora looked out at the endless expanse, the whale's song still resonating in her chest. She understood now, the sky was alive, testing those who dared to reach its edges, allowing only those in harmony with its breath to continue onward. And somewhere ahead, past these celestial rivers, lay the final threshold, the edge of the sky itself. Dawn spilled gold across the horizon as the Gossamer Gale sailed higher than any charted windstream had dared to reach. The air grew thin and crystalline, every breath tasted like starlight. Strange motes of light drifted past, whispering faint chimes as they dissolved into nothing. The skyrite beacon pulsed steadily now, a guiding heart. Ahead, the sky itself began to change, colors deepened to a surreal sapphire, and streaks of silver light rippled as if painted by unseen hands. At the very limit of sight, a wall of brilliance rose into infinity, the edge of the sky. It was no ordinary barrier. It shimmered like spun glass, fractured with prisms of every hue imaginable. It bent space itself, reflecting distant stars and turning clouds into radiant veils. The sight silenced the crew. Even Captain Run, ever unflappable, removed his brass cap and held it to his chest. As they drew closer, currents shifted wildly. The ship's gyros hummed with strain, struggling to stabilize. Vesa barked commands, and Merritt ran steaming vials to help regulate pressure. Liora crawled along the keel, tightening bolts and aligning the feathered sails with precision only instinct could grant. Finally, they steadied at the threshold, hovering before the glowing veil. The skyrite beacon floated from Run's hands, spinning rapidly. Then, with a crystalline chime, it dissolved into light and was absorbed by the edge. A circular opening appeared, framed by radiance. Captain Run glanced at his crew. "Beyond here, we step off every chart. If any wish to turn back, now's your chance." No one moved. Finn's hands trembled but his eyes shone like twin stars. Merritt gave a quiet nod, and even Vesa's usually sharp demeanor softened with wonder. Run smiled faintly and turned to Liora. "Mechanic Whitfern, would you do the honor?" Heart pounding, Liora gripped the helm. With a deep breath, she guided the Gossamer Gale forward. The ship passed through the veil with a sound like breaking glass and ringing bells combined. They emerged into an impossible expanse. The sky here was not blue but a vast tapestry of glowing mechanisms, enormous golden gears, colossal chains of light, and celestial pistons moving with serene precision. Rivers of luminous energy flowed between them like starlit waterfalls, and islands of crystal floated amid it all, their surfaces etched with constellations. "This," Finn whispered, voice cracking, "this is the clockwork of the world." Indeed, every sunrise, every shifting breeze, every heartbeat below had its echo in this place. The edge of the sky wasn't merely a boundary, it was the machinery of existence itself. As the gale drifted among glittering pathways, luminous beings emerged from the radiant mist. They were tall and slender, made entirely of shifting light and flowing lines of script. Their presence carried no fear, only calm curiosity. One approached the deck, its voice a harmonious chord. "Travelers from the winds, why have you sought the threshold?" Captain Run opened his mouth but faltered. It was Liora who stepped forward, compass glowing softly in her hand. "To see," she said simply. "To understand what lies beyond horizons. To know the sky not as a ceiling, but as part of something greater." The being studied her, its faceless form shimmering brighter. "Many have come seeking power or dominion. Few have come seeking wonder." It extended a hand of light. "You may step further. One will be chosen to glimpse the heart of the sky." The crew exchanged glances. Run shook his head slightly and gestured toward Liora. "You've carried us here, lass. It should be you." Liora hesitated, but something in her heart already knew this path was hers. She reached out, fingers brushing the being's radiant hand. Instantly, she was lifted from the deck in a stream of starlight, drawn upward past titanic gears and along rivers of luminous time. At last, she arrived at a radiant core, a massive, glowing sphere encased in spinning rings of gold. Every star in the sky, every floating city, every whispered breeze of the world below pulsed in harmony with its beat. A voice spoke, vast yet intimate. "You have sailed past storms, past the Guardian, and entered the breath of the world. What do you seek here, child of Windmere?" Liora's voice trembled, but it carried truth. "I seek to belong, to understand where my life fits in this endless turning." The heart of the sky pulsed warmly, like a great clock in hailing. Then, it unfolded like a blooming sun, revealing countless glowing threads stretching to every horizon. "Every being," the voice said, "is a gear in the clockwork. Every dream sails upon our currents. To know this is to never be lost, for you are part of all that turns. One thread descended, brushing Leora's chest. It glowed brighter, embedding a soft golden mark above her heart. When you return, the voice whispered, the winds will answer you. Carry this harmony to those below. In a final rush of light, she was borne back to the gale, where her crewmates waited in breathless silence. They saw the mark glowing faintly on her, and without words, knew she had seen something greater than any map could hold. The edge of the sky shimmered once more, and the circular opening reappeared. The Gossamer Gale sailed through, leaving the clockwork expanse behind. As they emerged into familiar winds, dawn breaking anew, the crew felt changed, not because they conquered a frontier, but because they had glimpsed how boundless and wondrous their world truly was. And as Windmere's mesa slowly appeared on the horizon many days later, Liora stood at the bow, compass steady at last, knowing the sky would never be just sky again,